Hi everyone, it's Tracy Malone from narcissistabusesupport.com. Today I'm going to be speaking with my friend Brooke Summerhill. She is a expert in helping people with assets. So wealthy women who are going through a divorce, trying to help them protect everything that they should be getting. As we know, narcissists hide and lie, and that's predictable, right? But when they have assets, and I have this in my book, I have a chapter on the rich and the poor narcissists, and when they have assets, they're really bad rabid dogs. They will make up things. They will do anything they can to protect themselves from losing a single penny. So let's go meet Brooke, and we're going to talk about this because not everyone has these assets, and I never did. But at the same time, if we do have them, we need to know that there's help out there. So let's go meet Brooke. Welcome, Brooke. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I am so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. You know, we have talked before about divorcing when someone has money. I know you are working specifically with women who have some wealth, and I know that this is such an important thing for you because this is your clientele. So tell me about your book and like basically what made you write this?
Mm. Well, I love what you do, and I'm going to try today to intertwine, what I write about and what I do with your work because we have so many parallels, and I love your audience being able to have you as a resource. So again, thanks for letting me share some insights, and I hope that someone in this listening, when you're on a walk, when you're inside, like really panicking, whatever your situation, you can grasp something from today's conversation about divorce, finances, and narcissistic behaviors that your
Mhm.
expertise can shine a light on. So I just wrote a book and it's called Divorce for Wealthy Women. I am a trained collaborative mediator, so I do work with both spouses in a heterosexual couple. Usually, it's a male and female, right? That is prevalent in our culture. But women typically need more help. And in higher net worth situations, I have seen so many times and times again where before you make these big decisions, you're in the trunk of the car. You don't know what you're doing. You've never seen the finances. He's always dealt with it in that relationship power dynamic.
Mhm.
And so I wrote this book to help the women who might not be ready to talk to someone like myself and might not know they're even going to be getting a divorce, but getting some understanding of what they need to be doing if they go down that path, because it's a different world with complex assets, especially if you have been in the trunk of the car and don't know where you're going.
I love that analogy. I mean, it really makes sense because so many of my clients have been in the trunk of the car. I'm going to use that forever now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Lived this life and they just didn't have anything to do with it, which gives the control to a narcissist, right? It gives the control to them and not to you. So if we're thinking about these people that are getting into this kind of a divorce, like I'm sure you see mistakes every day as I do. So tell us something that things to avoid. Basically, this is what I see. Don't do that.
any level of wealth you have, if you're thinking of divorce, there's so many tips I can give here. So I'm going to just say, in this instance, going to your friends and family might feel like a really powerful tool to get their advice because they've been through divorce too. And that's typically a big mistake I see. Again, any level of complex divorce or simple divorce or high net worth, anywhere you're at, if you don't know your situation well enough, the first thing I'd say is understand your situation is not going to be the same as your friends or your family member who's gone through divorce. And that's a big thing. That's not even financially related, but it is, right? Is you just need to understand your situation and be around people who can help you in your situation, not give advice that might not be tailored to what you need.
Hmm. And so I'm imagining the mistakes that you might see are being ill-informed of the financial picture. because that's what
Mhm.
I see. And so therefore they are more manipulatable to go, oh, that's all there is. And oh, forget about that, 14 safe deposit box I have filled with money. Don't worry about that, honey. It'll all be fair.
Mhm. Or, well, if you really need to go down that route, then I'm gonna come after you for something, and it's a threat underlined and coded with sugar, and oh, let's stay together. So there's all these ties that can be thrown at you. And again, you're still in the trunk of the car
Mhm.
in the dark. You don't have a light. You don't know what's going on financially. You need the right information and to understand who to trust in a way when you're making these decisions, small or big, financially. They have repercussions.
Absolutely. In my book, I think you remember I have a chapter called The Rich or the Poor Narcissists because they are different and people have to understand it's not, again, like your best friend's advice. You are in a situation where hiding assets, lying about things, moving them offshore. I mean, it's a different game, and it is a very, very dangerous game, as you and I both have seen.
Hugely dangerous, including, and I love that you're using the terms like offshore and hiding assets and safe deposit box. If you're in the trunk of the car and don't know where the money is, that's where listening to podcasts like yours, understanding and reading books like yours or mine, like something that can help you understand, and then hiring potential professionals to help you understand if it's worth going after certain things or understanding more about those things is helpful, especially when dealing with someone who may be a narcissist, who has businesses, who pretends that they're worth nothing. And you don't need to worry yourself, sweetheart. I'll take care of you. That's, we'll get into a few things I'm sure today, but I'm glad we're on the same page on that. That's, your chapter was phenomenal.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned we mentioned a bunch of things of the ways it could be hidden, but there's a whole new arena out there called crypto. I'm sure you have seen the people just, oh my God, it's like hiding it in a rock in another country. And then the rock is
Yes.
just like one of those shell games where it's moving and like how do we even find these sort of things? So what's your advice for people when they're looking to what how do I even know? I don't know what's there. And
Ooh.
he said he'll take care of me, right? So how do you help people see the truth in the situation?
Okay. Well, we can get really granular and go with looking at tax returns. Most likely, at least in my cases, most of the time in the relationship, in a heterosexual relationship where he was financial controlling or whatnot, or he dealt with the finances, you probably didn't even sign your own tax return. So the first thing is getting the tax returns because those can be gold mines. You can find things and using AI technology to understand. Because if you can't afford, let's say, my help, or they can't afford your help, or they can't afford understanding what does a tax return, where am I looking? Use technology online saying, if someone were hiding assets, or if my husband has crypto, would that show up on a tax return? Or if we had international stock that maybe he said he lost in the stock market, would that show on a tax return? And AI or the internet could help you with that. Or again, listening and educating yourself with books and podcasts is also helpful. But getting tax returns, understanding your credit score. There's a lot of little tools I give clients of where to find information to help you. And those I think are the best. I would start there over trusting what he or she, but most of the time in my circumstance, it's the he is. I wouldn't be trusting the information told to me, especially if we know we're about to go into a divorce. You want the answers on a concrete document like an IRS tax return.
Yeah, that's a really, really important thing to gather and to start with because, again, it is going to show some of it. It's not going to show the money in the safe deposit box, but, there are easy ways to trace some of this stuff and, really having someone go line by line. Oh gosh, that's weird. This much money is deposited every month into this account. We don't have records for that. I mean, it is truly the follow the money game.
Or looking at why is their ATM, if you can find a statement, which
Mhm,
sometimes that's difficult. So if you're in the trunk of the car again, this is not the first baby step you take.
mhm,
This is might be overwhelming to hear, but if you can get a statement, if you know what bank or investment company you might have an account at, that might be his name only or it's joint with you, if you can see, oh my gosh, every month there's deposits going in,
mhm.
where are those linked to? Or if there's ATM transaction cash, like where is that money going to? You could do a little of the finding out like your Sherlock Holmes yourself. And that's where we can get into all different types of, other things you can do to find hidden assets. But I think that's the good first understanding. It can be overwhelming, but you can do a lot of it yourself at the very beginning.
Yeah, and if they're too divorce brained, which we all get when we're going through a divorce where you can't even think, having a friend or someone else
Hmm.
look at
Hmm.
the statements and follow the trails, right? You
Hmm.
become a detective. Doesn't matter if you're
Hmm.
high worth, low worth, you become
Hmm.
a detective
Hmm.
because narcissists hide. That's just what they do, right? But if you are in that discovery phase where you went, well, that's weird. Every
Hmm.
month there's a payment to say Wells Fargo. That's weird. I don't know anything about Wells Fargo. That's the clue to say, lawyer, please ask for Wells Fargo. Where'd that go to? Could we see all the statements so we see what that missing asset is? Because the statements also can show. Sure, they could be stealth and move it different ways, but when you have a clue like that, follow it for sure.
Hmm.
So if someone was in one of these high conflict situation, what is one simple thing that they can do to steady themselves through this?
Oof, I would say, well, my best advice would be hiring someone like yourself. I am not biased here in saying, oh my gosh, just because I'm on your podcast, I'm going to say your name is the best. It really, out of all the clients that I've worked with, when I send clients to you, it really does help them and it steadies their calm storm. If they're in that boat, they know it's not them being crazy. Because I see it so much, and I'm not the narcissistic expert. I absolutely deal with it on an almost daily, weekly basis with clients because that's just the game I play in with divorce. But I like to bring in experts, and that is a big one, is knowing you're not crazy and having an expert that can help you guide and be a coach for you and consult and say, this is normal. It's textbook narcissism. Let's get you to the next point. And also bringing in other professionals, like, let's say myself, of doing the finances and understanding again, it's not you.
Hmm.
You did nothing wrong, especially when you're being thrown all the stuff at you saying you are the problem.
Hmm.
It's not. So, studying yourself with the right team, I think, is the best approach.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think you can afford it, there's conversations to be had. At the very least, have consultations to understand what your options are. And is it worth the money? I would say almost 100% of the time it is. But
Hmm.
again, I work in this field and I see the benefit of hiring the right people to study that calm. We want that calmness during the storm if we can in the waters, or get you out of the trunk into maybe the passenger seat. Maybe we're not in the driver's seat yet at the beginning. The confidence and control with finances is going to get there, but at least in the passenger seat where you see where you're going on the road and the highway, right?
Hmm. Yeah. I think what you're saying is it's awareness, it's being
Yes.
involved, it's trying to put the pieces together as much as you can by yourself. And again, divorce brain fog, you're sitting there, it's really hard to look at these things when your life feels like it's falling apart. But at the same time, if you don't look, they will walk all over you. I was divorcing a man whose family had a lot of money, and I became public enemy number one. They had five different lawyers on their table. Like, what the hell? I didn't murder someone. Like, well, what are you doing here? But it was to hide the assets. It
Mm-hmm.
was to manipulate documents, which they do when they're rich. They'll have complete new titles drawn up, and you're like, what? That came in last week. But then again, you have to have the right team to say, okay, tell your lawyer this. This is what is happening here. We understand this. Again, it sucks it's happening, but it's almost predictable. Don't you find these tactics like By the book.
It is, you anticipate manipulation, you anticipate all these things as a professional, and you can guide your client so much more elegantly and smoothly through that water. Let's pretend we're on that boat. You're going, you're going to the island and you know where his textbook next step is going to be. It's almost uncannily, it's a very strange feeling to say, oh, well, if he's already at this point, he's going to go after you and say you're a terrible mom at the next point because that's his last resort. Get ready for that. Let's get the right team. Again, I'm not maybe let's bring in a child specialist, a co-parenting expert, because they're going to be the bad guys at this point, just like Tracy might be the bad guy to him when he's trying to manipulate you, and now you have a team. Let the team be the bad guys in a way. So the manipulation tactics, expect it to be exactly as you're saying. Yeah, it's going to be textbook.
Yeah, yeah. And again, no one wants to sit here and expect it to be the worst. But when you have a high worth narcissist, they will do anything to protect their money. They will lie, they will steal, they will name call you, they will call child protective services on you, they will do every nasty tactic in the world because they're building evidence so that they
Mhm.
get what they want, right? And so, how, when we're dealing with, how do we go, oh my gosh, he's doing this, he's doing that. And with someone like yourself or someone like me, it becomes really predictable. It's almost like chess. I equate it to chess. You're in the trunk of the car and I'm going, next move will be this. And yes, of course, he could choose a different route, but 99% chance they're that predictable. This will be next. So let's prepare. Let's make sure that you have the right, I'm saying ammunition, but you have the right comeback to whatever the accusations might be. I was accused of stealing money during my divorce, which was a very strange thing because they never produced one single piece of paper to say, I mean, not even like discovery. But I'm like, so exactly, well, what did I steal? Because I mean, it made no sense. And yet
Mhm.
it took up 7 trials to sit there and go, I didn't steal money. Show me the money. There's no money here. There was no money. So there was nothing except $100,000 bill for me, right? So what we have to realize is a lot of this is not based on truth. It is based only on accusations. And so how you respond to it makes the difference between solo driving in the trunk and someone else in the Uber seat driving you around in the truck. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love how you just framed that. That is absolutely the best takeaway of this podcast. That's the best. We could end it now. Like that was great.
Ta-da!
Yeah, done.
Well, I want to hear from you. If there's one thing that you could say to people besides understand and dive into this, what advice would you give them?
Well, if you are in a position to document, write down things, do not trust verbal anything from your soon to be ex. If you're thinking of divorce, in the middle of a divorce, wherever your situation is, when you're dealing with finances, any type of net worth, you absolutely want everything in writing, especially when you're dealing with a narcissistic personality. You absolutely can't trust anything that's coming out of that person's mouth because they're one of the tactics is they're gonna start calling you a liar. Exactly, just like you were saying, stealing money, you're stealing money. Give me proof. Well, he's gonna most likely say, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying. Well, tell me how I'm lying. Give me examples. And then verbally, none of this matters because we need it all in writing. And you have to have solid everything in writing with the right agreement. Tactfully having the right lawyer who does not fuel the fire is also helpful. I'm
Mhm.
a big believer and advocate in having as much as we can do to, and in behavioral finance and financial psychology is my expertise within divorce, everything we can do to bring down the emotions for this narcissistic spouse of
Right.
yours.
Mhm.
Everything in writing, though, has to be there before you even get down to the part of how do we not fuel this fire. So that's harder to do than for me just to say, oh, just have it all in writing. But if you can continue maybe to work on texting or using My Family Wizard, so it's an app that is really going to be all communication based online where you can give it to courts, give it to the judge, give it to your lawyers, anything in email, that's going to be a lot better for you than answering his phone call and getting all of these things that he's going to do, and then it's never going to be produced.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the narcissist wants your money, and they want like anything that is theirs is always got to be there. So they don't want to share, right? I mean, one thing that as you were saying that close, and I'm like, darn, I got another question. But here we go. So, what I see with the people who have some assets is they will use a ploy to a tactic, if you would, to go to mediation when they haven't told you what all the money is. So your face is showing me that, holy moly, that's right, Tracy. You want to talk to that for a second?
Oh, Tracy, you should, it's like you're a fly on the wall in my daily sessions. This is almost all the time I see that. And then you come as the spouse that has a level head, that's trying to do this the right way with your children in mind to have a better future. But that's just emotionally manipulative and financially manipulative because you do not have all the answers, and that mediator is not there to provide any advice. So
Mhm.
you're going in trying to settle something so that everyone gets along and is better. And all it is he's going to win and he wants to win. And any of these assets are all his anyways. That's what his belief is. You
Mhm.
shouldn't get anything. He built it or whatever his
Mhm.
belief is in his mind. So we could talk about that for a long time on what steps to take, what to do. I'd say the end here, baby steps. No, you're not wrong. No, you're not the crazy one. Know that mediation is most likely not the best path. I'm going to say most likely because I can't be 100% guaranteed to anything, but I would say you would agree with me. Most likely it's not going to work in your benefit. And you need professionals at that point to help guide you and
Mhm.
tell you what you're missing. Because I bet there's a $4 million business out there that he's not putting on that sheet of Excel sheet that he says is
Mhm.
all the assets in the mediation session. So you're still in the trunk of that car. We want you out. We want you in the driver's seat. You need to get professionals involved, unfortunately, to make sure, even if you want to stay calm, that you're doing it in the right way and you're protecting you and your children. Most likely, your children, if you're listening to this podcast, you want to protect them. You having no assets post divorce just to keep him calm is not going to protect your children long term
No,
or
no.
you.
Right. And I think people worry about, well, if I go to trial, it'll be so expensive. But again, if you walk in there with an offer to mediation, don't walk in with that one, in my opinion. Like, get something. Either you say this is what I want, and then you work up and down from it. But if you walk in there with nothing and you are not 100% sure that everything is on the table, this is the problem. You will walk in there and you'll be dealing half a deck and you're trying to play poker. It doesn't work that way, right? So, be really mindful because this is such a tactic that wealthy narcissists have. Don't worry, honey, I'll be fair. I'll take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's all under the bed and all the money is hiding. And you're going, oh, I'll get a nice share of the house when there's millions in five different banks that you don't even know about. So
I
they,
think to leave it on that note is beautiful. It's almost like your analogy of the chess game. You're playing with half the pieces to start with. If you go in with, half the card deck, half the pieces of the chess game,
hmm
that's not equal. That's not anything that we want to deal with. We want to deal with something that's fair and going to give you the right setup for your lifestyle post divorce. So thank you for letting me on today and share these things and get to have some fun with you.
I'm so happy that you are here. Can you tell people one last thing? How do they find you? I'll put it in the notes down below, but it's good for them to hear it, especially those in the podcast land that might not in the notes.
They can just look up Brooke Summerhill, and I do consultations with anyone who has questions about divorce and finances. So if I am not the best resource, have a consultation and I'll get you to the right resource, right? So looking at my website, it's the Summerhill firm, or just typing in Brooke Summerhill, you'll find me.
Thank you so much for being with me again today, Brooke. It's great to see you.
Great to see you as well.
I hope you guys found that helpful. I will send Brooke's information to you. It's going to be down below in the notes section. And if you are going through this, please know that you are not alone. And the tactics that will be thrown at you and you'll have to endure are like nothing else anyone else have ever had to do. I've had people with 8-year divorces when they've got money. I've had people, 3 million, $5 million in legal fees just on their side because the narcissist can be such a jerk and hide all those money things and all that. So I hope this helped you and I will see you again. If this video was helpful, please leave a like or comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.